I go. Let's change those. Could start a project. The idea is that it's your private social that individuals can post themselves, centralized to some. I haven't fully figured it out yet. If it did, it might be nice. A lot of or while there are centralized platforms, I still haven't how to self. I've got a PDS, but I set up an app liner, which I think we're gonna get into here as well. But I was just creating a program. Um, that way, oh, setting. Yeah, yeah, my microphone settings were all fucked up. Huh. Okay. Well, hopefully that's better. Uh, well, I don't have my chats open. Let me go to those just in case. I don't want to ignore people. I'm just sad. I'm tired. I wish I could yell the problems away. I certainly tried last night. But lo, they are still here. Please use a keyframe frequency of 4 seconds or less. Currently, keyframes are are not being sent often enough, which can cause buffering. The current keyframe frequency is 8.2 seconds. Note that ingestion errors can cause incorrect group of picture sizes. Thanks, YouTube. That sounds helpful. I could look into that, but I'll probably have to restart my stream to change encoding like that. Yeah, I don't think I can do much about that right now. But hopefully it's good enough. Hopefully, it doesn't fucking matter. So currently you can only enter a message size of 2 to 4 characters. Yeah, I guess I could show you. We'll compile, we'll build, and we'll run. No output redirection detected, so it's just going to output to the console. Welcome to your very own lifeboat. That's what I'm calling it for now. Enter anything to exit. Anything. Input rejected. Exceeded length limit. Maximum acceptable input length is 3 characters. Well done. Farewell. That's what it does. And I can do the same thing. And I can do the same thing, but I can give it smaller input. File not executed because terminal may contain some input. Oh. You could do like E. And then it says, thank you for entering E. Well done. Very well. And so like it's getting my input and it's stripping away the new line character. So all that's good. We can raise the max input length to, whatever the fuck makes sense, 256 for now. I don't know. It's gonna be a very small program. I'm gonna keep it simple as I can, so that anyone with just surface level programming knowledge could come in here and make changes to it. And I'll comment it as well. Oh yeah, I wrote it to take in a command line argument. So like if we ls here, we can see the built program is the green main. And so if I run main and then pass it a -o, oh, I don't actually have a file there. Is it gonna open a file that doesn't exist? Redirecting output to test.txe. And so if I type a and then hit enter, it did the same thing. It ran the same program that it was just showing us, but it redirected all the output to this file. And I figure if the output is redirected to a file, potentially I could make a front end that runs in the web browser that would be easier for most people to interact with than a terminal. But I also want it to work from the terminal. So that's where it's at for now. I have concerns about like security and everything else. Like I honestly don't know a lot about malware. From what I understand, as long as I provide this source code, the other person can read it for themselves, make sure that it's safe, then compile it themselves, which builds the program onto their computer. And then as long as they use that specific version, nothing else like replaces it. See, that's where I start to get into questions. Like, could something else potentially compile the program again, or even edit the main C file and compile something else there? And then if I'm using these output files, could the different program, if it has been compromised, create or edit even files that it's not supposed to, just because it's running with user permissions? And like, most people probably are just going to use their own user account. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to slow down the enemy. Maybe more competent developers can fork my version and fix it too. I think I'm gonna get some water. I remember yelling a lot yesterday. It feels, I guess, like I have nothing to lose basically, so I don't really see the point in holding anything back in a way. But like, yeah, that's not true. Just because I lost everything multiple times, I still got something. I don't know. Honestly, like I'm lucky compared to a lot of people. That's super fucked up. His life has not been good at all. um, I think human relationships have largely been commodified and cheapened. A lot of people literally can't imagine what it's like to have a good friend. I had several, and I was taken from them. And then I had some shitty fakers. I shared as much as I could with them for years and years. In my 30s now, can't make friends the same way. Can't trust anybody at all. So, just trying to figure out how I'm gonna live life alone. It's not worth it, so I probably just won't. We'll see if I can finish something. Oh yeah, I don't know if I ever tested the flag without valid parameter option. Oh, whoops. Oh, I didn't actually rebuild it. I'm not used to programming in C. What? Opt? Oh, right. Yeah. Okay, so instead of that, it'd be then S, because we're putting in character, right? Type int. Okay. Do you want to type int? Or is that going to pop out the wrong kind of... It's going to pop out like a number, right? Oops. Oh my god. It broke. Okay. In dash 111. Right. See, it's not encoding it to a character anymore using the int value. Back to the documentation. I'm not using C++, but printf is basically the same. I think. Characters, %C, %C. Okay, so %C. That makes sense. Boink. Beep, bop, whoop. Does not like that for some reason. Option dash O requires an argument. Great. Segmentation fault. Not great. Oh, is that because it's doing this abort? We don't really need to abort. No, that would be inside of the case thing, then it breaks. What is the abort doing? I don't know, but it's not causing the seg fault. Boop, 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 boop. Is it because it's printing out the standard error? You know, I don't really need to do that. So used to just, yeah. Fprintf? No, I think it's just regular printf. It's still seg faulting. Need to put that back. If output file path. If optop equal O. Option O requires an argument. That's what it's printing. Well, actually, if I just run it like this, it doesn't print anything. It just goes straight to the segmentation fault. I assume that's because it has no arguments. But then it should go here. It was going here before. How did I break it so bad? What is the problem? Because I think it gets here. Oh, and it probably goes into the loop. Our guy, percent I, comma, guy. We'll show it as the character. They build, run, doesn't show me at all. What is going on? It just segfault. It doesn't even print hello. Maybe because I never closed standard out. Don't be weird. See what happens if all close this out. I might just be writing too much. No, that shouldn't be right. Because I'm calling the printf like right here. It's not even logging this. Is the very first like line. So what the hell? Okay. If we just comment these out. All right. Hello. Okay. So now it can actually run the program. What the fuck? All right, we'll uncomment those. We're just gonna ignore this loop. Was it because this guy doesn't actually have a default value? I could probably just comment out this part. That's just a warning. Keep entering A. Great. Do it again. Type a big long message because I raised character limit. Great. Okay, so I guess I want to give this thing a default value without restricting its length. This is some fun autocompletes. I can get my mouse further away from the microphone. I like clicking and wheeling so right next to it. Okay. Yes, I think we've just been dereferencing a null pointer. And just explicitly set it to null, or is that forbidden? That seemed to work. Cool. That you but rejected. Yay. Help. Thank you for entering help. Well done. Farewell. Useful application. This lifeboat is faulty. How long should a message be? Like probably more than 256, right? Because if it's gonna be potentially people typing in like posts in the terminal, but I don't even know. That I guess that doesn't make sense. Kind of hard to format things that way. Could write up a markdown file with Nano or whatever the fuck else. Whatever else. Yeah, I think we fixed that issue. If this is not equal to null, then we can print that redirect stuff. But otherwise, yay. Slash main dash o slash test.txt. Hello, redirecting output test.txt. Hello. Yeah, test.txt. There's all the datas. Just hello out of here. Maybe not. Well, yeah, let's do that. Okay. There's so many considerations or how to store data and represent it in things, and I want it to be pretty simple, so it might be pretty limited. It might be a small number of small files. Because I'm thinking that these will be easy enough to deploy wherever repeatedly, like, I don't know, different nodes for different either conversation threads, topics, or like voices, ideas. I don't know. Not sure exactly, but want to decentralize as much as possible. Meaning, if you want a lot of content, you'll need a lot of nodes, I guess. Even if they're all running on the same machine, like, it's still easier to distribute them later, I guess. For now, we'll raise it up to 2048. What is the maximum indency? It's probably pretty big. Yeah, about 2 billion or so. If it's signed, or 4 million, 4 billion if it's unsigned. But yeah, billions. More than 2048. Good. So much I don't know where to start. Like, this is a start, and I guess I can commit what I've got to get. Oh yeah, it actually removes the file, which is what I wanted in this case, but really good to be aware of that. Great. The repository is not yet public. I'm a little embarrassed. Like, I'm really self-conscious about my shitty code. I don't know. I'd rather release it when it's like good, but that might be never. So this is where I can actually like parse the user input to see what kind of command they're trying to enter. So like it seems kind of dangerous, the fact that it'll actually just use whatever file is given. Like even just running this program with the wrong argument could overwrite something important. So then I guess I want some kind of server. I've been using these as kind of a reference, help me get as far as I've got so far. Like servers can be kind of a lot. And theirs is more of a chat setup, whereas mine want to be was lighting is sexy, thank you. I've got my overhead light and I've got a lamp like right here. And then my camera settings, which often change themselves, so it might come and go. But I'm glad you like it. Looking beautiful, bro. Well, this stream is probably going to be pretty boring. It's a lot of me staring at code and asking basic questions that I struggle to find the answers to. But this is a little program that I'm working on where the idea is that you'll be able to like self-host your own either social media or like microblogging, forum posts, like almost any kind of small content. um, and I'm trying to write a program that anyone can compile and run on their own system with like minimal technical knowledge, but still some, but minimal. um, so that people have a way of communicating with each other, even when platforms are banning unfairly and censoring and lying to their users and things. So eventually there will be some kind of data exchange system that uses AES 256 encrypted keys for security. Just haven't gotten very far yet. So right now it just tells me whatever I type. I say, yeah, and it says, thank you for entering, yeah, well done, farewell. So it's got a lot of work to do before it's anything. But that's what I'm looking at today. And this is a chat application that someone else has written already in C. I've got two different ones that I'm using for reference. because some of the stuff that I want to do is similar. I want the servers to be able to keep track of who is connecting, how many people it's serving, and like whether or not it trusts them. Because they would need a copy of the public key that the user would have to either give them or possibly be able to do it through the program itself. I'm not sure yet. Lots of questions. Your PC can handle such servers. Yeah. Um, my network is spottier than my computer. It doesn't really take a lot of resources to run a basic server. Pretty much anyone can run the type of servers that I'm thinking of making in this application. Because unlike my usual stack, which uses Node.js and npm and is a little bit bloated, this one I want to write in just C, plain old C, as much as possible, which means it'll be fairly efficient. Because C compiles nicely on just about every operating system, and it's just like one step above assembly programming, basically. I don't want to do assembly programming. um, so I'm hoping that most people's computers or laptops or phones will be able to handle this program. But if your program blows up having a large audience, you never know, it could be hit or miss. Yeah, I would love to see it widely implemented and used. I'm gonna put my website in source code, and my website has a donate link, so if anyone finds it valuable, they can certainly go there and find ways to send me money. But other than that, like, I'm not gonna monetize it. The whole goal is to empower people, the average person, with free, private, secure speech. So I'm hoping that, in a way, if this does get big, we won't see it so much as like just everyone will be using it to communicate securely in ways that, you know, help us all out, I guess. It's hard to imagine, hard to describe, and honestly I'm probably not even gonna finish something that works. But I want to try. I feel like that's a decent project to attempt at this particular time in human history. I just wish I had more energy and like brain power for this. Like, I'm burnt out from a career, a shitty career in a shitty society. Excited to see where this goes. Probably nowhere. I advise you lower your expectations. But thank you. Because part of it is like a decision paralysis type thing where it's up to me to make design decisions, and like, how do I make good design decisions when there's so many options? Like, when it comes to storing client information or even just user information, like I could make my own struct for that, and I could store it in a file. I like the idea of storing things in separate files for just human friendly organization. But ultimately I think the files themselves will be encrypted, and so you might need to use the program itself to figure out which file is which. Even um I love technical shit. Nice. Yeah, I like exploring it. I made a career out of web development, but like, I'm tired of that. I quit my old job last April, a year or two ago. uh and I don't want to go back. I like code, I like programming itself. I just hate ecosystem. I hate the capitalist poison in everything and shitification. I hate the Microsoft, like, we were locked in with Microsoft at work, even though Microsoft is a terrible company, constantly making things worse. And like, yeah, we were paying them to do that, basically. It's like, well, that's fucked up. What the hell? Like, this late stage capitalism nightmares. Um, and that's, I guess, another aspect to this is that if it can help people talk to each other securely and under the radar of big surveillance corporations and all harvesting our data for nefarious purposes, we might be able to free the world a little quicker. I don't know. Every little bit helps, I like to think. The funny thing is, even if I never actually finish this program, um, just working on it publicly might distract. Might, I don't know, because like they've all got fucking, they use AI to try and analyze all the human interactions that happen on the internet, but like the AI is stupid and gets shit wrong. So I don't know how much they're actually gonna pour out of the stuff that I put out versus how much they're just gonna hallucinate. And they might think it's worse than it is, more threatening than it is. They might think it's not a threat when it is. I don't know. Uh, but it makes me feel like I'm doing more than nothing, which is nice for my personal uh I would say mental health, but I don't know if I have any of that. Satisfaction, I guess. Just helps me feel less helpless. And maybe that will help me do less screaming. I don't like going into that screaming, flailing, angry place, but it happens a lot. So I want some kind of thread. Oh, that's a great username from this spammer that I guess isn't going to show up on stream because got a thing. It's multinational testiclete, which I assume is like an athlete, but for testicles. Multinational. Well, they're still getting reported for being a bot. All right. Um, and like the port. God dang. Does it matter what port I use? Like, there's a lot of ports. Some of them are spoken for. Uh, Free ports. IP. I mean, what am I saying here? Like, yeah, list of ports, port numbers. That one's reserved. Right. Decide, 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 decide. Yeah, 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 yeah. Zippin' store. Like, what the fuck? Okay, but there are a lot of big gaps. Ace of Spades. Oh, I actually have Ace of Spades. Only played a little tiny bit, though. And a lot of these are going to be for, like, video game stuff. What do I want my port to be? So many options. It started off with a 2-4. There's a couple of 2-4s. 2-4-4-4-4. NetBeans integration. 2-5-5-6-5. That's good old Minecraft. If I do like 2-5-2-5. 2-5-2-5-2. And I don't know if I'll actually need like a server port and a client port. I don't think so. I think it could just be the one port. Uh, that'll be the default. I will take it in, some way to. Actually, I guess I could do that now. I can take in the argument case P for port. Uh, put port Cool, Optarg. Input port equal null. Yeah, so it'll be something like that. And we want the error handling for if it's is this working? Boolean logic? Yeah. Okay, that's good. If I say main dash p, oh, dot slash main dash p, it says option P requires an argument, but it does not fail. It just keeps going. No output redirection detected, printing console. Yeah, great. Okay. Now what do we do with that port? There's the broadcast to room. Send. Is it just, yeah, it's just some of these basic ass functions and libraries and stuff like are so low level I've never heard of them. But like, yeah, so apparently it's a pretty common thing. Transmit a message to another socket. Send call may be used only when the socket is in a connected state so that the intended recipient is known. The only difference between send and write is the presence of flag. With the zero flags argument, send is equivalent to write. Also, the following call is equivalent to send to, with the null 0. The argument sockfd is the file descriptor of the sending socket. Okay. Okay. So what that means is that this send function is not defined in this code. It's actually just built into C. And they're using it to get the client's file descriptor. I think that's object notation, like the client is a struct, and so FD is one of its properties. Formatted? Looks like that's the formatted text, whatever that means. Formatted to send over the socket, I guess. Telling it how long the data is. And then the 0, I don't know what the 0 is. Size flags. Okay, so it's not passing any flags. That's interesting. Message don't route. Don't use a gateway to send out the packet, just send it to hosts only on directly connected networks. Wonder if that would be useful later. Caller has more data to send. Like I usually hate getting into these technical details, and I try to just make something that works. But like here, it's really important. I want to know exactly what's happening with the data. And like the more I can have the servers and clients say, "Hey, did you get that data?" "Yes, I got that data." Or, "I'm sending you this much data." "Ah, I've received this much data." Like the more I can get them to confirm things between each other, the better. Um, but I also don't know entirely what I'm doing, so I don't want to do the wrong thing. Message fast open. Won't generate a SIG pipe signal if the peer on a stream-oriented socket has closed the connection. The ePipe error is still returned. This provides similar behavior to using SIG action to ignore SIG pipe, but whereas a message no signal is a per call feature, ignoring SIG pipe sets a process attribute that affects all threads in the process. uh, I don't know what a SIG pipe signal is really for. Is that like to pipe the data into another thing? SIG pipe is generated exactly when the write fails with ePipe, not beforehand. In fact, one safe way to avoid SIG pipe without changing global signal dispositions is to temporarily mask it with pthread SIG mask, perform the write, then perform SIG timed wait with zero timeout to consume any pending SIG pipe signal which is sent to the calling thread, not the process, before unmasking it again. What? SIG pipe can only occur as a result of write, which does return -1 set error node to ePipe. So why do we have the extra overhead of a signal? Every time I work with pipes, I ignore SIG pipe. I've never felt any pain as a result. Am I missing something? Yeah, questions like what makes write so special that it needs its own signal? Wouldn't it be better if everybody just always checked the return values from write calls? Yeah, probably. The answer is that the original designers of Unix quite deliberately adopted a degree of pragmatism that can look pretty heretical when viewed through the lens of today's thou shalt take no shortcuts mentality. Checking the return value of every write call is a plain nuisance. If you ignore them all instead, almost nothing goes wrong, so it's okay to ignore them, and then SIGPipe catches the one case that matters in practice. Huh. SIGPipe interrupts your program asynchronously, terminating the system call, and so can be handled immediately. Just staring in silence at the Stack Overflow post. Woo! Tuesday morning. Because like I kind of need to know this stuff. Like if I'm gonna if there's gonna be sig pipe signals closing the connection. So I could ignore sig pipe on a per message basis, basically. If that's something that I end up need to do, I, I need to do later. But I'm guessing I don't need flags. Unless my messages get very large. And I'm still curious about this don't route, because like I don't fully understand how routing works in the first place, what with the gateways and the nodes and such. Uh, it says it's usually only used by diagnostic or routing programs, but like this might be a case where we'd want to avoid gateways when possible sometimes. I don't know. This is defined only for protocol families that route. Packet sockets don't. I'm not sure what that means either. We have send, send to, and send message. Send call can only be used when the socket is in a connected state. The only difference between send and write is the presence of flag. Send to wants a destination address and an address length. Send message takes a message header struct. I could set it up like that. The optional address, size of address, scatter, gather array. Specify scatter, gather locations as for write v. Read or write data into multiple buffers. Oh, okay. The readv system call reads IOV count buffers from the file associated with the file descriptor fd into the buffers described by IOV, scatter input. The writev system calls all writes. The writev system call writes IOV count buffers of data described by IOV to the file associated with the file descriptor fd, gather output. Okay, I think I'm understanding. It's like a splitter. uh, readv is like a splitter because it takes in one input and outputs more than one. It basically copies that into multiple buffers, it looks like. Whereas writev takes in multiple buffers and I guess funnels them down into one. Sounds interesting. Buffers are processed in array order. Okay, I probably don't need to do that. Gather locations. Maybe this would help. Because if I'm scattering the server's output to all the clients and also gathering all the clients' inputs to the server's like master record or whatever, that might be a thing. I'm going to go wash dishes. I need to get my priorities straight. No problem. Doing dishes is a good thing. Good thing to get done. Have nice, clean silverware and plates and things for food later. Very important. I think all my silverware is currently dirty. But the bowl might be clean. The bowl looks like it's on the clean side. I probably washed it out after I made ramen last time. But thank you for the lurk. I hope everything goes well. I don't know what to say. Um, it's possible this message header struct might be useful for me. Yeah, or I'll be ordering food, wasting money on stupid shit that's not even going to last. Right, yeah. I used to order a lot of DoorDash, like way too much. But I think I've only ordered once this year, and that was from a grocery store months and months ago. It is wasteful. It is terribly wasteful, and like you gotta tip a lot to make it worthwhile for the drivers to even like bring you your food. Like it's a really fucked up like symptom of capitalist what's the word, exploitation, I guess. Uh, and then yeah, you got to eat it all within a day or two, or it gets bad. Assuming it was fresh when it came from the restaurant, which it may or may not be, and you don't really get to pick. You just kind of have to accept whatever they bring you, unless it's like way wrong, and then you can ask for a replacement or whatever. And that could be really annoying too if you're set on having a certain meal and they bring you something completely different. I've had that happen before. Back when I was briefly staying with my parents, I had ordered, I think, Burger King, and I forget what kind of like burgers or chicken or whatever I got, but that didn't arrive. Instead, I got a fish sandwich, and I was like, oh, I don't didn't want this fish sandwich. I guess I'll eat it, but like it's all like slimy and pale, and like I wanted the other food, and they were like, too bad, you don't get your other food. I think they gave me a partial credit or something. Like they were mostly supportive when things went wrong, and I tried not to be rude about it. But yeah, ultimately wasteful, I think, is a good way to put it. I do miss ordering deliveries. I miss how easy it was to just poke a thing on my phone and have it show up later. Like, but the waste. I want to put more thought into what I'm consuming, and I'm still working on that. Trying to do too much at once, I think. Really interested in that scatter gather. Okay, so IOV is short for input output vector. Describes a region of memory beginning at IOV base address and with the size of IOV length bytes. System calls use arrays of this structure where each element of the array represents a memory region and the whole array represents a vector of memory regions. The maximum number of IOVEC structures in that array is limited by IOV max, defined in limits.h, or accessible via the call sysconf, SCIOV Mac. It's just a memory region. Their use of AI here stands for address info. Sock type equals sock stream. What is sock stream? I think it's built in. The stream where you show off your socks. Oh, I guess that makes sense. TCP sock stream is a connection-based protocol. The connection is established and the two parties have a conversation until the connection is terminated by one of the parties or by a network error. UDP sock dgram is a datagram-based protocol. You send one datagram and get one reply, and then the connection terminates. If you send multiple packets, TCP promises to deliver them in order. UDP does not, so the receiver needs to check them if the order matters. If a TCP packet is lost, the sender can tell. Not so for UDP. UDP datagrams are limited in size. From memory, I think it is 512 bytes. TCP can send much bigger lumps than that. Chunky. TCP is a bit more robust and makes more checks. UDP is a shade lighter weight, less computer and network stress. Use the protocol appropriate for how you want to interact with the other computer. UDP is an unreliable service. Wow. We'll do TCP because we want to have that conversation. So that's why we use sock stream instead of sock dgram. Okay. That just built into socket library? Oh, yes. SockStream provides sequenced, reliable two-way connection-based byte streams. An out-of-band data transmission mechanism may be supported. Oh, I sent you a dgram. Did you get it? What do you mean you lost it? Worked hard on that dgram. Sock sequential packets? Sequence packets? A sequenced, reliable two-way connection-based data transmission path for datagrams of fixed maximum length. A consumer is required to read an entire packet with each input system call. Well, that might be something I want. Sock raw provides raw network protocol access. Ooh, scary. Sock RDM provides a reliable datagram layer that does not guarantee ordering. Reliable datagram, but no ordering. Huh. Sock packet is obsolete and should not be used in new programs. Oh, okay. Some socket types may not be implemented by all protocol families, sure. The domain argument specifies a communication domain. It selects the protocol family which will be used for communication. These families are defined in sys/socket.h. The formats currently understood by the Linux kernel include AF Unix for local communication, AF local, synonym for AF Unix, AF inet, okay. Amateur radio protocol, wow. Apple Talk. inet 6, yeah. AF key management protocol, originally developed for usage with IPsec. What is IPsec? Your network protocol suite that authenticates and encrypts packets of data to provide secure encrypted communication between two computers over an internet protocol network. It is used in virtual private networks, VPN. Yeah, I almost want this thing to be like not quite a VPN, but if all the data going through the packets is encrypted anyway, then like it'll be pretty private. I don't know though. IPsec includes protocols for establishing mutual authentication between agents at the beginning of a session and negotiating of cryptographic keys to use during the session. IPsec can protect data flows between a pair of hosts, host to host, between a pair of security gateways, network to network, or between a security gateway and a host, network to host. IPsec uses cryptographic security services to protect communications over Internet Protocol networks. It supports network-level peer authentication, data origin authentication, data integrity, data confidentiality, encryption, and protection from replay attacks. That sounds great. The protocol was designed by a committee instead of being designed via competition. Some experts criticized it, stating that it is complex and with a lot of options, which has a devastating effect on the security standard. There is alleged interference of the NSA to weaken its security features. Oh, shoot. They really specify as much as they can. This is the authentication header format, and it even tells us which bytes are storing which parts of it. So, like, if everything is airtight, there is no room for malicious stuff. But you know, it's almost impossible to make everything airtight. I don't know how the hell half this shit works. But it's one part of this is the authentication header. This is even if I'm using IPsec, which I might not. The IP encapsulating security payload, developed at Naval Research Laboratory, started in 1992. ESP in transport mode does not provide integrity and authentication for the entire IP packet. However, in tunnel mode, where the original entire IP packet is encapsulated with a new packet header added, ESP protection is afforded to the whole inner IP packet, including the inner header, while the outer header, including any outer IP4 options or IPv6 extension headers, remains unprotected. ESP operates directly on top of IP using IP protocol number 50. Yeah, AES 256 is what I'm going for. Parameters are included for the particular session for which a lifetime must be agreed and a session key. Yeah, that's another question I have is about like how often should keys be refreshed? And I guess it's kind of up to the users, but I can have some kind of indication of like this person's been using the same key for 10 years. Like key last refreshed in 2002. Like, oh, maybe that's not safe anymore. Maybe I should not interact with them until they fix their shit. I don't know. Then everyone would have to keep all their old keys around just to read their old data. I guess makes sense. It'll probably all be packaged together in one little folder, whatever the fuck. I don't know. I do not know. Yeah, tunnel mode sounds good. If I have two server clients tunneling to each other, like, that's kind of like a VPN. Yeah, embedded IPsec might be what I would want. Alleged NSA interference. In 2013, as part of the Snowden leaks, it was revealed that the US National Security Agency had been actively working to insert vulnerabilities into commercial encryption systems, IT systems, networks, and endpoint communications devices used by targets as part of the Bull Run program. There are allegations that IPsec was a targeted encryption system. Bull Run is a clandestine, highly classified program to crack encryption of online communications and data, which is run by the United States National Security Agency, the NSA. The British Government Communications Headquarters has a similar program codenamed Edgehill. According to the Bull Run classification guide published by The Guardian, the program uses multiple methods including computer network exploitation, interdiction, industry relationships, collaboration with other intelligence community entities, and advanced mathematical techniques. Information about the program's existence was leaked in 2013 by Edward Snowden. Although Snowden's documents do not contain technical information on exact cryptanalytic capabilities because Snowden did not have clearance access to such information, they do contain a 2010 GCHQ presentation which claims that vast amounts of encrypted internet data which have up till now been discarded are now exploitable. According to a Bull Run briefing document, the agency had successfully infiltrated both the SSL layer as well as some VPNs. The New York Times reported that, but by 2006, an NSA document notes the agency had broken into communications for 3 foreign airlines, one travel reservation system, one foreign government's nuclear department, and another's internet service by cracking the virtual private networks that protected them. By 2010, the Edgehill program, the British counter-encryption effort, was unscrambling VPN traffic for 30 targets and had set a goal of an additional 300. Some random number generators contain a back door, which would allow NSA to break those encryption. RSA Security continued using dual ECDRBG in the company's BSafe toolkit and data protection manager until September 2013. While RSA Security has denied knowingly inserting a backdoor into BSafe, it has not yet given an explanation for the continued usage of dual ECDRBG after its flaws became apparent in 2006 and 2007. They accepted a payment of $10 million from the NSA to set the random number generator as the default? Oh my god. Leaked NSA documents state that their effort was a challenge in finesse and that eventually NSA became the sole editor of the standard. Ugh. Ugh. By 2010, the leaked documents state that the NSA had developed groundbreaking capabilities against encrypted internet traffic. A GCHQ document warned, however, these capabilities are among the SIG community's most fragile, and the inadvertent disclosure of the simple fact of could alert the adversary and result in immediate loss of the capability. The document later states that there will be no need to know. Several experts, including Bruce Schneier and Christopher Solheim, sorry, I don't know how to pronounce that, had speculated that a successful attack against RC4, an encryption algorithm used in at least 50% of all SSL TLS traffic at the time, was a plausible avenue given several publicly known weaknesses of RC4. Others have speculated that NSA has gained ability to crack 1024-bit RSA-DH keys. RC4 has been prohibited for all versions of TLS by RFC in 2015 due to the RC4 attacks, weakening or breaking RC4 used in SSL/TLS. In the wake of Bull Run revelation, some open source projects, including FreeBSD and OpenSSL, have seen an increase in their reluctance to fully trust hardware-based cryptographic primitives. Yeah, no, we need, like, they need to be open standards, whatever we're using. Many other software projects, companies, and organizations responded with an increase in the evaluation of their security and encryption processes. For example, Google doubled the size of their TLS certificates from 1024 bits to 2048 bits. Revelations of the NSA backdoors and purposeful complication of standards has led to a backlash in their participation in standards bodies. Prior to the revelations, the NSA's presence on these committees was seen as a benefit given their expertise with encryption. There has been speculation that the NSA was aware of the Heartbleed bug, which caused major websites to be vulnerable to password theft, but did not reveal this information in order to exploit it themselves. Yeah, sounds right. The name Bull Run was taken from the First Battle of Bull Run, the first major battle of the American Civil War. Its predecessor, Manassas, is both an alternate name for the battle and where the battle took place. Edge Hill is from the Battle of Edge Hill, the first battle of the English Civil War. Right. Very cute. They're still mad that they lost the Civil War. Pretty pathetic. Owning slaves is not sustainable. The slaves kill the masters. It must be that way. Yeah, our government is trying to kill us. Trying to kill the entire planet. Death cults are a little too common. Death cults have been protected too long. Every person who pretends God is real is complicit in the deaths of millions. There is no excuse for it. So yeah, NSA inserted vulnerabilities as part of Bull Run into IPsec. The OpenBSD IPsec stack came later on and also was widely copied. The developer is alleged that Jason Wright and others working for the FBI inserted a number of backdoors and side-channel key leaking mechanisms into the OpenBSD crypto code. In the forwarded email from 2010, Theodor Rad did not at first express an official position on the validity of the claims apart from the implicit endorsement from forwarding the email. Jason Wright's response to the allegations: every urban legend is made more real by the inclusion of real names, dates, and times. Gregory Perry's email falls into this category. I will state clearly that I did not add backdoors to the OpenBSD operating system or the OpenBSD cryptographic framework. Some days later, Darad commented that I believe that NetSec was probably contacted to write backdoors as alleged. If those were written, I don't believe they made it into our tree. This was published before the Snowden leaks. An alternative explanation put forward by the authors of the Logjam attack suggests that the NSA compromised IPsec VPNs by undermining the Diffie-Hellman algorithm used in the key exchange. In their paper, they allege the NSA specially built a computing cluster to pre-compute multiplicative subgroups for specific primes and generators, such as for the second Oakley group defined in RFC 2409. As of May 2015, 90% of addressable IPsec VPN supported the second Oakley group as part of IKE. If an organization were to pre-compute this group, they could derive the keys being exchanged and decrypt traffic without inserting any software backdoors. Oh. If they could pre-compute the group. Oh. The second alternative explanation that was put forward was that the equation group used zero-day exploits against several manufacturers' VPN equipment which were validated by Kaspersky Lab as being tied to the equation group and validated by those manufacturers as being real exploits, some of which were zero-day exploits at the time of their exposure. The Cisco PICs and ASA firewalls had vulnerabilities that were used for wiretapping by the NSA. Furthermore, IPsec VPNs using aggressive mode settings send a hash of the PSK in the clear. This can be and apparently is targeted by the NSA using offline dictionary attacks. Like most of my life, I haven't taken my privacy and security very seriously because I thought the average person understood that we are all working together, that our lives are all connected, that we should be helping each other. But no, the average person is lied to and believes dangerous lies, selfish lies, stupid lies, unsustainable beliefs. And yeah, I spent too much time with all the wrong people. Because questions that I have about this stuff is like, do I know that AES 256 wasn't compromised, doesn't have a backdoor in it? If that's open source, maybe I could just look at it. You can donate anytime. Oh, okay. Great. Cool. I guess that's like what I do. Huh? You speak that cab. Like we wish we didn't have to beg, but no one pays us to deliver information. The advanced encryption service, yeah, right. Yeah. Specification of the encryption of electronic data. Yeah, see, I'm wondering about stuff like this. AES has a fairly simple algebraic framework. In 2002, a theoretical attack named the XSL attack was announced, purporting to show a weakness in the AES algorithm partially due to the low complexity of its nonlinear components. Since then, other papers have shown that the attack as originally presented is unworkable. Okay. During the AES selection process, developers of competing algorithms wrote, "We are concerned about its use in security-critical applications. However, at the end of AES selection process, a developer of the competing algorithm Twofish wrote that while he thought successful academic attacks on RheinDigital would be developed someday, he did not believe anyone will ever discover an attack that will allow someone to read that traffic." Until May 2009, the only successful published attacks against the full AES were side-channel attacks on some specific implementations. How do I avoid that? In 2009, a related key attack was discovered that exploits the simplicity of AES's key schedule and has a complexity of 2 to the 119th power. And then it was improved to 2 to the 99.5th power. This is a follow-up to an attack discovered early in 2009, with a complexity of 2 to the 96 for 1 out of every 2 to the 35 keys. However, related key attacks are not of concern in any properly designed cryptographic protocol, as a properly designed protocol, i.e. implementational software, will take care not to allow related keys, essentially by constraining an attacker's means of selecting keys for relatedness. What makes a key related? You might know that the last 80 bits of the key are always the same. Sometimes initialized with nothing up my sleeve numbers, or above suspicion of hidden properties. The data encryption standard has constants that were given out by the NSA. They turned out to be far from random, but instead made the algorithm resilient against differential cryptanalysis, a method not publicly known at the time. Huh. Manipulatable, but not trivially. And all this stuff would be things that I can't like thoroughly eliminate the possibility of, like cache attack. I don't know what the file system is doing in its cache. If someone else does, maybe they could get data out of there. Timing attack, based on how much time various computations, such as computing an attacker's given password but the victim's unknown one, take to perform. Power monitoring attack, attacks that make use of varying power consumption by the hardware during computation. Yeah, that's crazy to me, like that they're actually monitoring the PSU basically to see like how much or maybe not the PSU, but like the actual CPU's like report or whatever, like the specific power usage like out of your wall, basically. Electromagnetic attack, attacks based on leaked electromagnetic radiation, which can directly provide plain text and other information. Such measurements can be used to infer cryptographic keys using techniques equivalent to those in power analysis, or can be used in non-cryptographic attacks, e.g. Tempest, aka Van Eck freaking, or radiation monitoring attacks. That's crazy. Acoustic cryptanalysis, attacks that exploit sound produced during a computation, rather like power analysis. Wow, it's crazy. Differential fault analysis, in which secrets are discovered by introducing faults in a computation. Data remnants, in which sensitive data are read after supposedly having been deleted. Software-initiated fault attacks, currently a rare case of side channels. Rowhammer is an example in which off-limits memory can be changed by accessing adjacent memory too often, causing state retention loss. Ugh. Whitelist, attacks based on the fact that the whitelisting devices will behave differently when communicating with whitelisted, sending back the response, and non-whitelisted not responding to the devices at all devices. Whitelist-based side channel may be used to track Bluetooth MAC addresses. Yeah. The underlying principle is that the physical effects caused by the operation of a crypto system can provide useful extra information about secrets in the system. So like, oh, they use this much power in this algorithm. We have reduced the key space that we have to search now to find a break. Yikes. Okay. The term cryptophthora, secret degradation, is sometimes used to express the degradation of secret key material resulting from side channel leakage. Yeah, so I figure we'll basically just want to replace the keys every once in a while. But like doing that securely is it's like a juggling, I guess. You always want to keep one in the air. So this is partly why I want to keep this thing as small and simple as possible, just to reduce risk. Any risk, anything. Anything at all. We tried to make it more secure, we made it less secure. Oops. That happens. Seemingly a lot. Yeah, what concerns us most about AES is its simple algebraic structure. No other block cipher we know of has such a simple algebraic representation. We have no idea whether this leads to an attack or not, but not knowing is reason enough to be skeptical. Yeah, I'm concerned. I don't fully understand it, but when they said that the variables or that AES can be represented like with the plain text, the ciphertext, and the key bits all, and intermediate values within the algorithm as quadratic equations, as a system of quadratic equations. The S box, which is the substitution box of AES, appears to be especially vulnerable to this type of analysis, as it is based on the algebraically simple inverse function. Right. Subsequently, other ciphers have been studied to see what systems of equation can be produced. Sorry. Unlike other forms of cryptanalysis, such as differential and linear cryptanalysis, only one or two known plaintext are required. In cryptography, an S-box is a basic component of symmetric key algorithms which perform substitution. In block ciphers, they are typically used to obscure the relationship between the key and the ciphertext, thus ensuring Shannon's property of confusion. Claude Elwood Shannon was an American mathematician, electrical engineer, computer guy, father of information theory. Neat. Very dapper. Mathematically, an S-box is a nonlinear vectorial Boolean function. In general, an S-box takes some number of input bits, m, and transforms them into some number of output bits, n, where n is not necessarily equal to m. An m by n S-box can be implemented as a lookup table with 2 to the m words of n bits each. Fixed tables are normally used as in the data encryption standard, but in some ciphers the tables are generated dynamically from the key, e.g. the Blowfish and the Twofish encryption algorithms. One good example of a fixed table is the S-box from DES, mapping 6-bit input into a 4-bit output. Given a 6-bit input, the 4-bit output is found by selecting the row using the outer 2 bits, the first and last bits, and the column using the inner 4 bits. For example, an input 011011 has outer bits 01 and inner bits 1101, so the corresponding output would be 1001. And so basically it's just a fancy way of scrambling data. Seems like substitution. Ugh. Analysis and properties. When DES was first published in 1977, the design criteria of S-boxes were kept secret to avoid compromising the technique of differential cryptanalysis, which had not yet publicly known. As a result, research in what made good S-boxes was sparse at the time. Rather, the 8 S-boxes of DES were the subject of intense study for many years out of a concern that a backdoor, a vulnerability known only to its designers, might have been planted in the cipher. Yeah, by the NSA. As the S-boxes are the only nonlinear part of the cipher, compromising those would compromise the entire cipher. Oh. Well, shit. The S-box design criteria were eventually published after the public rediscovery of differential cryptanalysis, showing that they had been carefully tuned to increase resistance against this specific attack such that it was no better than brute force. VM and Shamir found that even small modifications to an S-box could significantly weaken DES. Any S-box where any linear combination of output bits is produced by a bent function of the input bits is termed a perfect S-box. Oh. S-boxes can be analyzed using linear cryptanalysis and differential cryptanalysis in the form of a linear approximation table, or Walsh transform and difference distribution table, or autocorrelation table in spectrum. Its strength may be summarized by the nonlinearity bent, almost bent. Come on, guys. And differential uniformity, perfectly nonlinear, almost perfectly nonlinear. Well, everyone's a little nonlinear, alright? What makes it all special. Now get almost bent and present your S-box. Oh my god. Oh, the P-box! Permutation box, right, yeah, no, that makes sense. It's the forward S-box for the Rindale cipher, on which the advanced encryption standard is based. Maps an 8-bit input to an 8-bit output. Both the input and output are interpreted as polynomials over GF2. First, the input is mapped to its multiplicative inverse, Rindale's finite field. 0 as the identity is mapped to itself. This transformation is known as the Nyberg S-box after its inventor Kaisa Nyberg. The multiplicative inverse is then transformed using the following affine transformation. The column is determined by least significant nibble, and the row by the most significant nibble. So 9A 16 is converted into B8 16. We got 9. And then over here we got A, which has B8 stored in it. I'm so confused. Because if all this information is just here, like, what? How is this secure at all? This affine transformation is the sum of multiple rotations of the byte as a vector, where addition is the XOR operation, where B represents the multiplicative inverse. Boop, boop is the bitwise XOR operator. Left, left, left is a left bitwise circular shift, and the constant 63 base 16 equals 0110011 base 2. It's given in hexadecimal. An equivalent formulation of the affine transformation. Okay, another equivalent is by where x is polynomial multiplication of b and 31 sub 10 taken as bit arrays. The inverse S-box is simply the S-box run in reverse. Okay. This S-box was specifically designed to be resistant to linear and differential cryptanalysis. This was done by minimizing the correlation between linear transformations of input-output bits and at the same time minimizing the difference propagation probability. The Rindale S-box can be replaced in the cipher, which defeats the suspicion of a backdoor built into the cipher that exploits a static S-box. Oh, so you can replace the S-box. The authors claim that the Rindale cipher structure is likely to provide enough resistance against differential and linear cryptanalysis, even if an S-box with average correlation is used. Example implementation in C. That's what we're programming in. Define ROTL8 as a function that takes in X and shift, and then it returns a UIA int 8. It shifts X around, and then does more stuff with it. I think it does this kind of thing. Initialize AES SBox. Loop invariant. Multiply P by 3. Divide Q by 3. Compute the affine transformation. 0 is a special case since it has no inverse. I don't know what I'm looking at mostly. I want mine to be real secure. My concern is that given enough time, anything will be broken. And like even if I'm swapping out the keys, like that's irrelevant. if someone has taken an image or saved a version of the data, even if it's encrypted, like it was encrypted by one key, that encrypted data is not going to change after that point. The person with the encrypted data can take as long as they need to reverse engineer the key that created it. So we want to make sure as we can be, that the time it takes to reverse engineer it is something that would take more than the amount of computing power on Earth. Which is supposedly what AES does. But if this SBox thing is compromised, it seems like it's all worthless. And so I'm wondering if it's just a trap. And I don't want to fall into it if it is. I want to find something that's actually secure, gonna hold up more, but you know, if I pick something else, it might be less secure. There may be no winning. I'm kind of curious about this. The Diffie-Hellman key exchange method allows two parties that have no prior knowledge of each other to jointly establish a shared secret key over an insecure channel. Okay, so this is cool. Two people can establish a secret value, which can be used as an encryption key, by starting with a common value. It could be anything. In this case, they're going with yellow. So Alice and Bob both have a can of yellow paint. But then they each choose a custom color, a secret color just for themselves. Alice chooses orange, Bob chooses blue, and they mix that in with the common color. But they mix it in such a way that, like, I mean, if you're just looking at the orange, like, I don't know. See, I don't like this analogy because I feel like it's almost easier to reverse engineer in terms of color because they basically simplified it so much that it's just addition, which it's very easy to subtract. Um, but yeah, pretend that the plus sign is actually, like, I guess, very complicated math. So Alice mixes in her secret color with the public color. Bob does the same thing with his secret color. This results in each of them having their own special mix, and then they exchange the mix, combine each of that with a little bit of their own secret color again, and that results in this brown color that only they have. But like anyone, well, oh right, so I'm starting to kind of understand, but like, because if you're trying to spy on Alice and Bob, you see that they have both selected yellow. You don't see what they mix in with that yellow, but you do see them exchange the mixed paint. And so there's one part of it there where like you would want to reverse engineer one of their colors, and then you could just combine that with the mixture that you observed them exchanging. Because the problem with this paint analogy is that it's making it seem more difficult than it would be to get a copy of what's being exchanged. So like we're thinking about it in physical terms of like Alice and Bob exchanging these cans of paint, but like realistically someone else can just look at the can of paint and generate a copy in their hand. And so like even though they don't know the secret color that Bob had to start with, they now have Bob's mixture of blue and yellow, and they know that one of the pieces was yellow. So they can start working on reverse engineering which blue got mixed with that yellow and how much and all that. But if they get even just one detail wrong, then the key is still useless. So, like, it's just a question of how long will it take to reverse engineer. And that's where the math comes in. And that's where I start to just squint and ask myself, how is any of this not breakable? Like, how is any of this slowing people down when they have all of this same information? So, like, I'm still missing that piece that makes it one way or that makes it safe. I should probably take a bathroom break. It's been 2 hours. I'll be right back. Maybe this cryptographic explanation will help me understand. The simplest and original implementation, later formalized as finite field Diffie-Hellman, uses the multiplicative group of integers modulo p, where p is prime and g is a primitive root modulo p, to guard against potential vulnerabilities. It is recommended to use prime numbers of at least 2048 bits in length. This increases the difficulty for an adversary attempting to compute the discrete logarithm and compromise the shared secret. These two values are chosen in this way to ensure that the resulting shared secret can take on any value from 1 to p minus 1. Here's an example of the protocol with non-secret values in blue and secret values in red. Sorry. Alice and Bob publicly agree to use a modulus p equal 23 and base g equal 5, which is a primitive root modulo 23. Alice chooses a secret integer a equals 4 and then sends Bob a as g to the a mod p. So 5 to the 4 mod 23 equals 4. In this example, both a and a have the same value 4, but this is usually not the case. Okay. Bob chooses a secret integer b, 3, and then sends Alice b equals g to the b mod p. Equals 10. Right, but doesn't that just mean that anyone can reverse engineer it with that? Because, like, if I see that Bob is like, oh, I got a 10. Then someone else could multiply by 23 to get 230. And then take the base root. And they know that g equals 5 because that was public information. And so the 230 like that's 25 times 5, right? No, 25 times 5. 5 carry the 2. 120? What is going on? Because 5 times 5 makes 25. 25 times 5 makes 120, right? No, 125 makes 125. Well, now I'm confused. Because I can't even do math. The modulus prime is 23. Like 5 times 5 is 25. 25 times 5. That is 125. 125 mod 23. Wouldn't that be 2? Invalid expression. Because I'm in radians? Would you not do modulus? Why would I have a modulus button if it doesn't do modulus? What do you mean invalid expression? What the fuck? You like these little guys? What do you want? Why do I have a calculator that doesn't fucking work? Oh, so because it's a calculator, not like a programming calculator. It's actual percent, not modulus. Oh my god. All right. Well, let's just do 5 to the third, right? That gets us the 125. Great. And so the way mod works is you divide by the number. So we can do 125 divided by 23. But it's supposed to give us the remainder. I don't know if this one has a way to get the remainder. Why is there no way to get the remainder on this? I think that's what I want. I don't need complex numbers. I just need a remainder. There's 0 digits. Oh, no, they're just gone now. Calculator. We got 5 to the third. 125. Yep. 125 mod 23. Do you understand mod? No? Unknown. Okay. 25 divided by 23. And can you give me with remainder? God damn, y'all. I shouldn't have to use a fucking online web tool. What the fuck is happening here? Dividend divisors. Dividend. Isn't that how it goes on bottom? Yeah, we're gonna try 125. We'll try 23 for that. Quotient 5. Remainder 10. Yeah, okay. I probably could have also just done the math myself to get the remainder. In fact, maybe that'd be good practice here. I used to do that. If we got 125 divided by 23, and it goes in there 0 times, right? So like 0, 0. And if it goes in there 5 times, what does that get us? It gets us 5, carry the 1, 1, 1, 5. So that seems correct. Because then if we add another 23 onto that, that would get us 138, which is too much. So we say 5 is the quotient. 5 times 23 gets us the 115. We subtract these, and it gets us 10. That is our remainder. Great. We've done math. So yeah, wouldn't they just see this and say, "Oh, he's showing her 10"? We can multiply that by the public figures that we saw, publicly agreed to use this modulus p equals 23 and base g equals 5. So we just multiply this by this to make 230. And take what, the cubic root of 230? Is that where the complexity comes in? Oh, is it only square root? Can I be cheeky? To the 1/3? I want the cubic root. That's a little harder to just do by hand, I think. Get a different colors for clarity. Not be the most clear color. Because if they've got 230 from multiplying 10. Oh, that's where I'm getting fucked. You don't multiply because it's the remainder. Which means we don't actually know. Well, yeah, we do, because they told us publicly that they're going to be using modulus p equals 23. So we know that whatever Bob put in got multiplied by itself twice, or 3 times, whatever. And that value, mod 23, gives us 10. Because they know that the value mod 23 gets 10. So that means that we don't know what the quotient would be. So really confused. Hello. Sorry, I don't have YouTube chat on screen, but I can see it. I can see it myself, but it's not on stream. I'm looking at some cryptography stuff, just for a personal project that probably isn't going to go anywhere. And what's tripping me up here is how is any of this secure when they announced publicly the numbers that they were going to be using? I'm starting to piece together, like, it gives multiple possibilities for what this value actually is. It's the 3. Oh, okay. 3 is the secret part. Because everyone sees Bob sending a 10 to Alice. And they know that this 10 is the result of something mod 23. And they know that that something has a 3 in there. So, like, you could probably make some kind of table with the different values for this thing. 53, it's 5 to the 3rd. Mod 23 equals 10. Yeah. The 3 is the secret part. So, like, what if it was 5 to the 2 mod 23? Probably wouldn't get you the right, wouldn't get you a 10. But is there any other value that would get you a 10? 25 mod 23 would get you 2. One would be 2. 5 mod 23? I guess that'd just be 5, because it goes into there 0 times. Wait a second, why did I say this was 2? It'd be the same idea. 10 mod 23. Get you 10. 4, 5, 6. Make 20 mod 23. Wouldn't that just be 20? 25 mod 23. This is what I was thinking of. Wait, no, this isn't. Holy shit. Okay, no, I'm stupid. Right. This would be 25 mod 23 because it's 5 squared, not 5 times 2. 25, and this would just be 5. But then this one would be 5 times 5 times 5, which gets us 125 mod 23. 10? 125 mod 23 is 10, yes. Because 5 times 23 gets us 115. Okay. So 5. So 125 times 5. This is something Speed Crunch can probably handle. 125 times 5 is 625. Mod 23. 23 goes into here twice to make 46. 12 minus 6 makes 6. 5 minus 4 makes 1. Put a 5 down there. Is 8 too many? If I do it times 8, we get 4, carry the 2, 16. Like 184, I think. So yeah. But we could try 7. 7 times 3 makes 21. 1 carry the 2. 14 plus 2 makes 16. 161. Then we're left with remainder 4 there. R4. But it is. It's not a decimal point. Remainder 4. So then over here, burp, that would be that. But like, I guess as the numbers get bigger, even a computer would take time to do all this division and remainder factor like figuring, but I guess because these numbers are so small, it's difficult for me to imagine how this is super secure, but like only A and B are kept secret. The strength of the scheme comes from the fact that G to the AB mod P equals G to the B A mod P take extremely long times to compute by any known algorithm just from the knowledge of P, G to the A mod P, and P mod P. Such a function that is easy to compute but hard to invert is called a one-way function. Okay, once Alice and Bob compute the shared secret, they can use it as an encryption key known only to them for sending messages across the same open communications channel. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Of course, much larger values of A, B, and P would be needed to make this example secure, since there are only 23 possible results of n mod 23. Yeah, I think that's what was tripping me up. However, if P is a prime of at least 600 digits, oh my god, then even the fastest modern computers using the fastest known algorithm cannot find a given only G, P, and G to the A mod P. Such a problem is called the discrete logarithm problem. The computation of G to the A mod P is known as modular exponentiation and can be done efficiently even for large numbers. Note that G need not be large at all, and in practice is usually a small integer, like 2, 3. Secrecy chart. Eve, the eavesdropper, is watching what is sent between Alice and Bob, but she does not alter the contents of their communications. She just watches. So everyone agrees to use 23P5G. Alice determines her secret number. Bob determines his secret number. Eve wishes they knew either one. Alice sends her number 8 to Bob. Bob sends his number 19 to Alice. Eve is aware of both of those, but can't really realistically use those to reverse engineer the numbers that were sent before. And so now they use that number combined with another process to make a final number, the S, which in this case equals 2. And both of them get the same result just because of math. Unfortunately, Eve does not get to know about S. Eve has an 8 and a 19, but isn't sure. Doesn't have this 15 and doesn't have this 6. Where did those numbers come from? That was her secret number and his secret number. Fascinating. So I just like, if Signal is open source, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Platform agnostic API is used by the official Signal clients and servers exposed as JavaScript or TypeScript. The underlying implementations are written in Rust. Yeah, this is where I get kind of torn because like this is too much code. I would want it to be really, really simple, but I guess like I'll probably end up needing a lot of code just for every little thing that I want. And like whatever I'm making is probably not going to be as good as Signal. You know, there's just not going to be a lot of incentive for people to switch. But maybe I can find a way to put a wrapper around Signal to make it easier for people to use it to talk to each other. Like, I don't even know if that's necessary. I just don't have enough experience with Signal. I wish I'd been using it to talk with people, better people, my whole life. It's free and open source. Yeah, man in the middle attacks seem concerning. And a lot of people mistakenly believe they identify them when they don't. It's hard to it's hard to enforce good habits when everyone is so lazy. We really need a way of emphasizing the importance of these things so that people make the right choices instead of letting things get oops, sloppy, leaked. It's very difficult to verify who you're talking to and everything. Yeah, the projection is billions of years to brute force on current and foreseeable hardware. It's crazy. Also, to store the work on brute forcing that would require 38 trillion terabytes of data, which is more than all data on all computers in 2016. I still want to make my own little thing, but it seems like Signal is what I want. I just need to get on there, basically. I don't know. I want to provide something that helps people. What are we missing? I mean, there is the user error of just not validating their keys. But man, what can I do? Probably done programming for now. Learned a lot today, I feel like, or reviewed a lot. Been so long since I've done long division. Needed a remainder. And I've still got this lifeboat program that I plan to keep working on. It's just, man, what should I focus on? What should my priority be? I was thinking like the most useful thing that I could provide to the most people would be secure communication. Like Signal is there. Signal is free and open source and already more featureful and safer than mine is. Uh I mean, I I say that. I guess I don't actually know. I could look closer at the code and see if I can spot any issues with Signal and try to help them out their program. But I feel like I'm not going to be able to contribute very much. Uh, I don't know. I'm out of booze, and that's been on my mind for a while. Threw away my empty vodka bottle. No beer or wine at the moment, but I could go get some. But then what? Like, what is my actual plan? What am I doing? I'm gonna play video games? I'm gonna yell at Mario Party? Does anyone like that? No, I don't think people like that as much as I don't know, something else. I want to find something that more people like, well, and that I also like too. I don't want to be fake here, but I do want to have fun. I want to have real fun, and that's hard when I'm so angry, angry and broken, mad, sad, scared, and more. I should get better food. I should get better food, and I should drink less so I have more of an appetite. I should exercise more. I should have a different life. I could move somewhere. I don't know where, and I don't know what I would do there either. I could work on my my little graveyard game in Unity. If ever finished, it could provide someone with minutes of entertainment. I never feel like doing video editing. Maybe I should try out a different video editor. I like Shotcut, especially because it's free, but my computer isn't. I don't know if it's not built right or what. Something about the GPU, the CPU. I run out of memory. I think VRAM. I run out of pretty easily. And that causes the whole desktop to crash sometimes, and that's really shitty. Not fun to come back from. Need to stare off into the distance for a bit. Oh, I start getting double vision in here. But yeah, maybe I should go somewhere. Go for a little drive, get some snacks. I don't know. I want better food. I'm probably just gonna get booze, come back here, drink the booze, play some games. Might end up yelling. Why wouldn't I? And so like, this doesn't sound like a great idea. Is there? Maybe I should do something else, but I don't know how. I don't know what. Whatever I try, it would probably be a lot of work and effort for something that's ultimately not worth it. So I gave my whole life to people who don't care. And I didn't really have much to begin with. It was broken from the beginning. Now it's just pieces. Making a little bit of noise before they fall away. There's a certain comfort in familiarity. Doing what we know, even if what we know is wrong. But it's so hard to get people to change, to do better, to make better choices. You're like, well, I made the bad choice before and it worked that time, so I'll just keep doing that. It was easy. Yeah, a little too easy. Taking the path of least resistance is often harmful. But standing up for what's right can be fatal. I don't know if zombie or ghost is more appropriate, but I feel like I died young and I've just been possessing my own body as like a non person ever since. I think life was worth living for a brief period of time when I was a kid. My life, at least. I can't speak for everybody. But I had friends. Actual fucking friends. The likes of which most people can't even imagine. And ever since leaving them, no, life has not been worth living. Trap after trap, loss after loss, endless betrayals and abuses. I wish people weren't so stupid. To me, that's what it comes down to is just ignorance. You know, all evil is a form of ignorance and evil sustains ignorance. They're kind of related. I think evil is kind of like ignorance of the fact that we all live in the same world. We are all connected. We should all be cooperating. There's like an infinite potential that way. Whereas if we all compete, we're going to die. There's it's a dead end that way. Uh so like yeah. Obviously we're oversimplifying a very complicated subject, but I just wish people would make better choices and quit hurting each other for no reason. A lot of very bad habits were forcefully programmed into me, and I don't know that I can change now. people are quick to recommend vague, nebulous help, or sometimes they'll just say therapy. It's like, okay, you haven't asked what I've tried, and you haven't recommended anything that would actually help. You haven't recommended anything specific at all. You've recommended the concept of hope. You've recommended, like, why not just fix it? Oh, yeah, you're right. I would like to just fix it. Can you get more specific, though? Outline the steps to fix it. Because I think if you looked closer, you would see that it's not possible to fix what they broke. But yes, I could get more therapy. I could pay endless people endless amounts of money for them to say, oh, it's just you. Just feel better about it. A lot of people go through a lot of hard stuff. That's life. Stop normalizing abuse, you psycho fucks. You get paid either way. You don't actually care. You can't if you're taking money for it. So they'll just keep plowing ahead until we're all dead. They don't care. They don't think. They're stupid, they're evil. They settle for what appears to be good enough for them, and they don't look at anything else. My parents are child abusers. I think most people in the country are victims of abuse. Familial abuse, in particular, is normalized. That does not mean it's okay. Common is not the same as normal. Normal is a kind of tricky word anyway. But millions of people can and often are wrong together. The number of people who agree with you is not indicative of correctness. Exactly. The number of honest people who agree with you might be. But one of the common lies is that lies do not require intent, and that lie protects lies. That lie protects liars. Cowards hide behind that lie, and cowards pretend it's okay to be wrong. It's not. People die when we get things wrong, and then we can't even figure out why. The wrong things get blamed, and the abusers get protected. Christianity is a death cult that we cannot afford to tolerate. They're killing kids for nothing. There is no God. There are real dead kids. What the fuck are we doing? Why was my whole life wasted for someone else's delusions? And why am I punished whenever I point out that it is, in fact, delusion? There's no God. Only stupid, evil, selfish, idiot people lie that there is a God. And then they lie on top of that no, it's not a lie. No, I'm actually good. No, I sense him for real in my head. For real. Your selfishness is killing kids. It's not okay. It never was. On an individual level, I hope all of humanity can stop making the mistake of tolerating Christianity or theism at all, or any lie, because it is killing us all. I've been begging for them to stop my whole life. They're telling me no. So we're probably all just gonna die. Not enough people are calling them out on their bullshit. Not enough people are opposing child abuse. Too many people are normalizing it, having their own kids saying, I'll be better, and then they're worse. Well, kids today don't know how good they have it. You don't know how bad they have it. You chose to have kids instead of making things better for everyone. You're a selfish, stupid, evil person. It's so fucking simple. They just don't think. They would rather feed the abusive machines, create life for the sole purpose of being slaughtered than slow down and fight for what is right. Their lives are empty, hollow things, but they're so stupid and selfish they don't care. They embrace that lie, they live for that lie, they will die for that lie, and they'll take others down with them. Faith is a failure. Faith is a lie that protects lies. Let's do better. Let's use our brains. Let's stop letting kids die for nothing. I hope I can continue talking about these subjects without raising my voice. But I sure did get worked up because it ruined my entire life personally, and it's also killing millions of people who can't stop it, who have no way to even scream for help. So I'm trying to do some screaming on their behalf. But mostly the screaming just gets me muted and blocked and banned and stuff. So like I'd rather keep my voice present. It's just hard. Like you have no fucking idea. Life and death for every fucking person. Why do I have to say any of this? So if I go to the store and get more booze, which is what I'm thinking I'll do. It's also around lunchtime. They might have some nice sandwiches there. Then I'll probably come back and I don't know, play video games, play Mario Party. What am I doing? What I don't. Because it's kind of a combination of things, honestly. Like, yes, on the one hand, the very virtuous person in me wants to put good things out into the world for everyone else, regardless of what happens to myself. But then there's the physical person that I am that is, the evil, lazy tendencies. Like, I don't even know if I want to call it evil and lazy in my case, because it's more of an issue where, like, I've been burned too many times. I put in the work. I've done the work numerous times, over and over again. I've gone through so many struggles and challenges and overcome so many things, endured so much pain, and what the hell do I have to show for it? It's a series of betrayals and losses and failures. Like, gee, yeah, I'm really not chomping at the bit to try again. I do think there's a lot of value in just challenging the established narratives of society, but uh, balancing everything is impossible. What do I want to play? What do I want to do that I can use as like a medium or like a touchstone to interact with people? It's like I've been getting behind on my editing because I'm never in the mood to edit. So like even though I love games like Link's Awakening, when am I going to finish my playthrough? I don't know. When am I going to finish editing Link to the Past playthrough? I don't know. Fatal Frame, golly, that's a lot of footage. I've only edited 1 hour of the 13. I started editing hour 2, but it's so much, and the program is like struggling to keep up, and I don't want to render it in pieces and combine them all together, and everything is a nightmare. Everything is a nightmare. Our country has been successfully destroyed, and every person who pretends it's not that bad is making it worse, giving them free reign to make things even worse. I hate every stupid person I've ever met who has dismissed my complaints. Because, oops, they were valid. Oops, things were unacceptably shitty, and pretending that smartphones and smart TVs were actually designed for people to use was wrong. But instead of admitting that at the time and finding solutions at the time, they normalized that abuse. They let it get worse and worse and worse. And all that time, instead of focusing on those problems, we were chasing our own like fantasies. We wanted to make games, and I still want to make games. The problem is the people I was with were completely incompetent, incapable of focusing, of putting in the work. I was like, here's a prototype, and then I went to college, which made me stupider. College was a mistake. But the people didn't even notice. They were too busy chasing their own stupid bullshit. Like getting married. What the fuck is that about? I fell in love with the girl when I was in junior high. I was a teenager. We were both like 14 or so. And it hurt a lot when she broke up with me. But looking back, it's because I was looking for someone to save me. I was looking for someone to like take care of me, basically. And like in my head, I would do anything for her, and that's still kind of true. But like, that's only in my head, right? That's a nice ideal. What would it actually be like if we were still together, or if like I don't know. I'm probably not capable of being a good partner. So seeking a partner is selfish, and I don't want to do that. Everyone else in my life was seeking partners the whole time because they selfishness is all they know. They are more than happy to ruin someone else's life to just get the chance of like I don't know, it's not even a chance of fixing their own. Like that's not how these things work. Monogamy, like committing entirely to one person forever is possibly the least healthy form of relationships. Like it's not good for humanity. uh But the stupid people got married to even stupider people, and the stupider people lied. And it was all take, no give. So eventually I couldn't keep going. I couldn't stay up. I ran out of resources personally. And foolishly, I thought my family was a safety net, and I fell straight through that, and now I'm plummeting toward the floor. Things will continue to get worse instead of better as long as any person believes in God. That basic common lie is so foundational, and other lies are built on top of it. It encourages other lies. Magical backwards thinking is killing us. Every person should be a scientist. Use your brains. Science is not an authority. You don't just put a science stamp on something and it becomes true. Science is a process. If something is not following that process, it is not science. You have to observe for yourself and determine that. And that's a little bit of work, but really not that much, especially when people are working together to help each other see. Like, that's the big difference between taking their word for it and having them show you. I'm probably going to go to the store, come back with snacks. I don't know what I'm going to stream. Some kind of game or something, probably. I want to do less screaming. And I want to be less sloppy in general, because I feel like I don't know. I feel like shit's more watchable when I'm more focused. I like focus. But focus is also really uncomfortable because if I'm focusing on a task that I'm not going to succeed at, then I'm putting in all this energy and work and stuff, and then what's the result is nothing? Oh, what the hell did I just do with my life? Why does this keep happening? Uh, I don't know. I'll figure something out eventually, given enough time, which I might not have. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you later. Goodbye.